This call is now being recorded, apparently, said the little voice. If you don't want to be seen or heard, you can turn off your video and your audio and not say anything, but your presence will still be recorded.
It's learning. So we get to do the praise to Manjushri. Some people might have that translation by Vajrayana from the Lotsawa house.
Present it, but if someone else could read it so I don't have to shout. And then, Lama, you want to mute on your thing.
Were you looking for someone to read it?
Yes.
Yeah, please, could someone else read it?
I'm happy to do it, yeah. Homage to the Guru and Protector, Venerable Manjughosha. Your wisdom is brilliant and pure like the sun, free from the clouds of the two obscurations. You perceive the whole of reality exactly as it is, and so hold the book of transcendental wisdom at your heart. You look upon all beings imprisoned within samsara, enshrouded by the thick darkness of ignorance and tormented by suffering. With the love of a mother for her only child, your enlightened speech, endowed with 60 melodious tones, like the thundering roar of a dragon, awakens us from the sleep of destructive emotions and frees us from the chains of karma. Dispelling the darkness of ignorance, you wield the sword of wisdom to cut through all our suffering. Pure from the very beginning, you have reached the end of the 10 bhumi to all enlightened qualities, foremost
Buddhist ears.
Your body is adorned with the 112 marks of enlightenment, the Manjughosha,
the gentle voiced.
I prostrate and pray, dispel the darkness from my mind. Om Rapa Sanadi. 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 D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D. With all your kindness and love, let your wisdom's shining light clear the darkness of my ignorance once and for all. Elizabeth's getting a kick out of me. Your body is adorned with the 112 marks of enlightenment. To Manjagosha, the gentle voiced, I prostrate and pray. Dispel the darkness from my mind. With all your kindness and love.
A different one.
With all your kindness and love, let your wisdom's shining light clear the darkness of my ignorance once and for all.
So, am I live here? I don't know what to do.
We can hear you.
Yeah. So we have a little, I'm using the Lotsawa translation. I'm not sure exactly what Connor's put out, but it's close. So it ends, the Lotsawa translation ends, whenever I wish to look upon you or ask of you anything at all, Lord and Protector Manjushri, let me see you without any hindrance. So I'm not.
Lama, that's the same as the Lotsawa house. He just didn't go to the last page. I reset it to make it easier to read online, and that's all. But it's the same translation.
Ah, I thought so. Okay, so we skipped a verse. Just skipped a verse. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Greg's here. Ashley, Brad, two Gregs, Sophie. Someone we don't know, right? Is there someone we don't know? We're missing a few people. We have the two Gregs.
That might be me. This is Jack. I'm on my house phone.
Oh, okay. And what name does that show up under?
It should be, I think it shows up as a number.
Okay, good. And I don't know who's Russ Johnson. Who's that?
Yes, hi. Russ Johnson.
Oh,
I'm fairly new. I came a few times last year to the temple.
oh.
Yeah.
Okay, we're diving in. You can listen in.
Yeah, thank you.
So what's your Dharma background?
Mostly Zen Buddhism.
Koan style or?
No, not Koan style. Yeah, Soto Zen.
Soto style.
Yeah.
Soto Zen. Just sitting.
Just sitting, yes.
The Lama, Russ has been joining us online quite a bit.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's very good. So I was talking with Patty and Michelle, who are sitting here also to help. I'd like to make some tenet flashcards. So I had one card that I'm going to teach from that I made several years ago on the 4 seals, which are some of the earliest examples of tenets. But then I thought, why not make flashcards kind of like Shambhala Publications made for you know, the Lojong
Or Lojong, right?
saying. Yeah, so we have Tupten, no, not Tupten children, Pema children's, you know, has these Lojong cards. So in the front, the slogan, and then in the back are commentary. So that might be kind of fun to do that. Sometimes people learn better with like flashcards, don't you think? There are various translations of the Four Seals, even from the Tibetan. So as people that are interested in translation know, translations tend to be more accurately being interpreted. So as always, I'm interested in what Lama Tony would translate it as, because I like his translations. But the Four Seals of the card that I'm using, like this one, which I don't know if you can see. This is an experiment. It got frozen there. There. All conditioned phenomena are impermanent. All contaminated phenomena are suffering. All phenomena are selfless and empty. Nirvana is peace. So one of the leading teachers, Dzongkhar Khyentse Rinpoche, I think, wrote a book on this. Like, this is how in Mahayana we would identify someone as being Buddhist. All conditioned phenomena are, all contaminated phenomena are suffering. All phenomena are selfless and empty. Nirvana is peace. So when I read this, I hope you're looking at it too from the standpoint of some of the studies we've made in the schools, which statements would fit with the Vabhashika and the Sutrantika schools, which would fit with the Hinayana schools, so to speak, and which ones would fit with the Mahayana schools. What do you think? Oh, Dana joined. That's very good. Anybody want to take a commentary guess on that? Ellen's jumping in.
Yeah, I decided to throw my hat over the fence before I figured out the answer, so now I'm stalling. But you've told us before this is the way we learn, is we just jump in. So
yeah,
I would say the first two are Hinayana. The third is Mahayana or Madhyamaka. And the third one is Hinayana again. Oh, I'm sorry, the fourth one. The fourth one, yes.
Okay, very good. I'm not saying perfect or very, it's saying very good. I want to hear some debate. So let's hear from someone else. What do you think? We're all very nice here. We're not gonna, there's gonna be no hitting or biting or scratching, right? You know?
Well, why wouldn't the third one also apply to all of the yanas? I mean, doesn't everybody accept selflessness, right? It may not be selflessness as phenomena, but definitely selflessness of self, right? Yes. So wouldn't the third one really belong to all of the yanas?
No.
Okay.
We have a Morris.
Yeah. They wouldn't belong to all of them because the Great Exposition and the Sutra, I can't pronounce it, but the Sutra don't accept an absolute definition of emptiness. They have provisional selfhood that's temporary, but it doesn't really equate to emptiness in the Mahayana sense.
Okay, let's get one more person in the mix. No wrong answers. We're debating, presenting our views.
I have to agree with Morris on the third one. All phenomena are selfless and empty. I don't think all schools agree on that. Some schools see people as selfless, but not phenomena as selfless.
Who would like to do this with James? We'll just get one more person. Who wants to reply to James?
Lama, I love to be wrong, but all four schools believe in the non-existence of a permanent self. So,
correct.
What is James? That's why I'm gonna back. So.
So I forgot your original assertion, James. Do you remember it?
Yeah, my original assertion was that not all schools believe that phenomenon are without a self, that they exist from their self. That some schools believe that, of course, that there is no self, but when we look at phenomenon, that the phenomenon actually exists from their own side.
Okay. So, very good. Thank you. Yes. So now I'm entering the mix, right? So maybe I'll say it wrong. You have to listen. You know, sometimes teachers, my teachers too, will say things wrong to see if you're listening, right? So you have to think, is Lama saying it wrong or not? Right? So generally, when we're talking about selfless, we're using that term, we're saying there's without an Atman. So without an Atman. So I don't know of any school that asserts an Atman. There have been some school, I think they were called the Pugala Vadans, you know, that said there's a person, but I don't know any schools that would say an Atman. So even, you know, external would not be an Atman. So they would generally, I think most of the schools, I don't know of any, although we could create one that says that there's an Atman. So that would be selfless. But empty is another thing. You know, when we're saying shunya, we're saying empty of inherent existence, or empty, you know, from having owning it, empty from its own side, like that. But generally, selfless would be anatman, no self. I think it'd be easier if people said, if we translated in English, all phenomena are maybe no dash self. I'm wondering what Dirk would say. You know, should we change? Because selfless sometimes sounds like, you know, self. That was a selfless act. You know, like an altruistic act. What would it be? This or no? I like to say no dash self or no self and empty. Should we say empty of inherent existence, or what do you think?
I think this is a translation that's like a common little restrictive commentary, which I think is good for memory.
Yeah.
But maybe it would be better to say all phenomena are not self. But I don't know. I don't have a problem with this for myself. Strangely, I don't mind this.
What's gotten into you? Help! Someone help!
But I do have a bone to pick with number 4.
Okay.
I would say that number 4 is not all lower schools, that it's all schools. Would say that nirvana is peace.
Would anybody like to dispute that? Can anybody quote an example?
Well, it's Ellen, and since I originally said that it didn't belong to all schools, I guess I should rebut. But part of it to me is that I think the schools wouldn't necessarily disagree with nirvana is peace, but it's a very relative truth in the Madhyamaka school. You know, there's not a nirvana that has an inherent meaning in the Madhyamaka school. So that's why I didn't categorize it with that school. But I don't know if that's right.
If we're saying the Madhyamaka, because then they would also have to deny phenomena too, along with suffering and permanence and emptiness, right?
This is Morris. May I ask a question?
If we deny nirvana, then is it relevant?
This is Morris.
Is it relevant?
My question?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so. My belief is that when I see the word nirvana, I think of the 2 earlier schools pre-Mahayana. Like, I rarely see the phrase nirvana, and I use this to be corrected by everybody who knows more than I do, which is the entire group. But I rarely see nirvana referred to in wisdom sutras or Mahayana literature. Correct me, please.
Actually, we do say nirvana. We might qualify and say non-abiding nirvana.
Okay.
Right. So, and all the schools would say parinirvana, like someone's physical extinction. But I would say that different schools might. This is an interesting question. Like, one time at Naropa many years ago, I heard Joseph Goldstein, who's very Theravada, say nirvana is the absence of anger and desire and ignorance. But I don't, and I've heard many Theravada teachings, but would they say that's nirvana isn't peace? So they might say it a different way, but I don't think, would they disagree with it? It seems universal, but you could say that people could characterize nirvana in different ways too, right? There are versions where we might say nirvana is inexpressible or uncharacterized, perhaps. But would anybody say nirvana isn't peace? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask what you think, what you would say. Because, of course, once you get into Dzogchen and Mahamudra and, well, even Mahayoga, really, nirvana and samsara are equal and non-dual. So, at that point, they might not want to say nirvana is peace anymore. But in terms of what we're studying in tenets, I think everybody would agree with that, except for the Prasangika Madhyamaka, who can't say anything at all.
Well, maybe yes, maybe no. That would be quite a lot. Connor asks us, so what's up?
I'll take up the point that nirvana is not peace, that nirvana is simply the cessation of suffering. You may have anger and hatred, but you don't suffer from it. Therefore, you still experience something that's not the suffering of it. Which is not necessarily peaceful in the way that we think of peace as, you know, a nice and hunky-dory. But you're just not suffering from those things that previously afflicted you. It's not the same as peace.
So would Connor and Dirk both agree then that nirvana would be equal to a state of mind then?
That's a good question.
No, I never agreed that nirvana was a state of mind. No.
You would not agree to that?
That is a state. What do you mean by a state of mind?
It's simply a state of mind. Its emptiness is nothing more than a state of mind. So to support James's point, the Swavan Tikra Madhyamakas, right, don't even believe in the existence of a phenomena at all. Therefore, nirvana would be nothing more than just a thought, right, or a state of mind equal to bliss, lack of samsara.
I don't agree to that.
I have a question.
Oh, good, Elizabeth.
Yeah, my question is this. Is nirvana with remainder peace?
So that's a good, interesting question. You know, there's nirvana with remainder, nirvana with kind of non-remainder, right? So are we talking about like there's still a body, or are we talking about is there still a sense of personal self? So this has been of course an interesting debate in the schools, right? So this could be something we could investigate, right? So there's different opinions about that, like what you know, what the status of nirvana is. And, you know, going back to an earlier thing, like, what is the mind of an arhat? What is the mind of a bodhisattva? What is the mind of a Buddha? And is it reasonable to call or talk about nirvana as a consciousness or state of mind? Maybe not. So it's interesting, we have the most discussion around nirvana, but do you think anybody would disagree with the first three? Does anybody want to say conditioned phenomena made of parts, phenomena are permanent? Conditioned phenomena are permanent? Does anybody want to say that?
They could be temporarily permanent.
I don't.
Okay, please explain temporarily permanent.
Well, you move into a house. You have the key to the door, and your cat lives there with you, and you have a sofa. Those will last temporarily. So it's a permanent impermanence. It's long enough to feel like it might be permanent, but it isn't.
So what school would say that things are very momentary and disappear really quickly, would you say?
Oh, well, it could be a couple.
Could be a couple, but what would be one school that would say it's really momentary, very, very momentary?
Well, the Prasangikas, they have the disintegration built into everything. It's a justification.
That's not it. Yeah, no, that's different than momentariness. Okay, you have a 50% chance of getting it right if you think that it's going to be one of the lower schools.
Well, now I
Or you might have 100% chance.
Okay, all right.
But would anybody say that conditioned phenomena are really, really permanent? In other words, they're absolutely don't undergo any transformation. Somebody else can chime in. Like, anybody want to say no? I know I found a conditioned phenomena that is not born and doesn't die. Anybody? Not yet. Okay.
So, Lama, it's Ellen. I have a sort of a question because it seems like the Madhyamikas accuse the Chittamatrans of sort of saying that in that whole partless particle paradigm, that some particles can be split into parts small enough. Even you get small enough, but there are some particles that are permanent. And I don't know that
what school might say that we can reduce things to particles that cannot be reduced further.
I thought it was how the Madhyamikas represent the Chittamatrans, but I may have that wrong. Okay.
Yeah, look to an earlier school.
Is it the Sutra school?
Even before that, I can't remember how to pronounce it. The one that starts with V. By
Bhashika.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they think, these phenomena are, they don't have a self, but they have some real existence. That's interesting, isn't it? Abhashikas,
And don't the Southern Chicans, don't they also, they don't have partless particles, but they also have some sort of permanence. I don't remember exactly what it is, though. The one right above
they have some real existence there. Both the Hinayana schools, there's some real existing, from their own side, wouldn't you say?
Uncompounded.
Yeah, both
uncompounded.
Simple uncompounded.
They have some uncompounded phenomena. Of course, all the schools have some uncompounded phenomena.
And what this says, it's all conditioned, which is compounded phenomena.
Yes, that's correct. All compounded, conditioned, arising because of conditions. So all contaminated phenomena are suffering. Is there any argument with that?
No way.
Contaminated by the kleshas. The kleshas. We sound like some strange kind of being. The kleshas are after us. Anybody want to dispute that?
I always thought that meant our minds, all contaminated phenomena. I mean, it comes down to the mind. The ordinary mind is contaminated.
Right. What school would say we have the most contamination? Our school, it's like Buddhists like saying that. Buddhists like saying things across the board. So yeah, everything that's contaminated, suffering is going to be universal. But yeah, what is it that's contaminated is the question. Are there some things that aren't contaminated phenomena? This should be easy.
No.
What? Are there no? there are no uncontaminated phenomena?
Space?
There are no phenomena that are imputed.
Clear light?
Clear light. Clear light can't be contaminated, right?
But it's not imputed. It doesn't exist by imputation.
Okay. When if we're just jumping ahead to Madhyamaka, in Madhyamaka, we're not saying that things don't exist, because that would be nihilism, right? What we tend to do is we impute a certain kind of permanency or a certain kind of own being onto phenomena. But otherwise we'd be denying all phenomena, right? That would be a nihilistic stance. It's got to be something uncontaminated or we're screwed, right?
Isn't nirvana uncontaminated?
Nirvana is uncontaminated.
Emptiness is uncontaminated.
Yeah, emptiness. What else? You guys read the Mahayana Sutralamkar, the ornament of the Mahayana Sutras. What's uncontaminated? Ultimate truth is uncontaminated. This Connor. Ultimate truth, uncontaminated. What do you think, Morris?
I'm with you.
Okay. You concede. Okay. All right. That was hard. We gained up on you, Morris. Did good, you know. Like, thank you for playing.
Morris, you have to declare the hazmat school of contaminated phenomenon.
So the the tenets aren't really, they're investigated philosophically, of course, but in our tradition we try to bring the tenets back to actually the way we see reality. So the tenets are not really the tenets as a study program, and the way they're discussed is they're discussed in this kind of way. But if we had to say something about reality, however we determine that, we're talking about tenets. And what's interesting about the Four Seals is it has kind of a religious soteriological function of like, what really makes you, Buddhist and non-Buddhist from the tradition. And this may have been really important at one time in India, where there were a lot of competing schools, of course. And at some point, Shaivite Hinduism, let alone regular Brahmanical Hinduism, was on the ascendancy. So just a little bit, what's it called in Christianity when you say that I believe in one God, the maker of heaven and earth, blah blah. What's that called?
The Apostles' Creed.
The creed, yes. So this is like, what's the creed? So if you disagreed with this, we might say, oh, what dharma are you practicing, like that, a little bit. I think it's been used a little bit like that. So as a thing, maybe some people have another opinion like that.
Refuge is what makes you a Buddhist.
So that also has been, put forward as an idea, you know, so that would be the entranceway, the glorious chariot to freedom. But if you take refuge and you don't, you say, I'm taking refuge, but I don't agree to the 4 seals. What do you think? Are you really taking refuge or what?
No.
Yeah,
You have
probably.
you have no intention. You have no intention, aspiration, or motivation. So no, of course not.
Yeah. So actually, I added the 4 seals in the last refuge. When I give out the name, we have it's a little different translation in there. Maybe some people noticed. So I'd be interested if people did a little research to see if maybe the only difference between Hinayana Mahayana approach is just we're talking, you know, we're adding the word empty there. We're talking about emptiness there. Maybe that's the only difference.
Lama, this is Dana.
Hi.
Hi. According to Wikipedia, the Mahayana one is the last one. The first 3 were part of the Pali Canon.
and the last one is
Mahayana.
The Nevada's piece is the Mahayana.
So the first 3 are from the Pali Canon, or the original, and then Nirvana.
Did they quote it? Did they quote the?
Did they quote where it came from, the seals?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quotes in here. There's tons of quotes.
Okay, so yeah, print it out for me and we'll take a look at it when we meet.
In the original, is it just one-liner?
Okay, well, yeah, so I don't, you know, like, there of course do talk about, there is empty, the word shunya, I think, sunnah, is used in the Pali Canon, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The first 3, but it says the 4th seal appeared during the development of the Mahayana Buddhism.
Yeah, maybe we never know who writes Wikipedia, so that's.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's also.
No, what do you? Yeah.
It's also on the Lion's Roar. But who knows who writes that thing? Oh no.
Yeah, they've got to be right. Yeah, so.
Well, it's pretty funny. I once brought somebody to to practice with the Thai Theravada Thai monks, forest monks, and their main complaint was that they constantly talked about nirvana.
Well, the point of studying the tenets isn't just to be, you know, a good debater, although that's, you know, a thing. So, we're going to be talking more about tenets when we look at the unique tenet book. Because of COVID and the fires and everything, some people that maybe wanted to write a short essay about essay exam from cutting through appearances, you might still take that opportunity to do that, you know? Because as we write, then it helps us to clarify our thinking like that. And will help as we move forward. So there may be a few more people that want to try their hand at the essay around the questions around the Cutting Through Appearances book. I'm quite aware that I asked people to read and look at primary material, even if it's in translation, because if we sometimes read secondary material or tertiary material first, we don't really ever get to the primary material, and we've already a little bit prejudiced. So, even though sometimes it's difficult to wade through those early translations by Westerners, are still assigned it to do that. But and I've given out like the charts on the tenets, correct? But if people want to know additional material, all you have to do is ask, right? If you think this is really hard, is there material on the tenets written by Western practitioners that simplifies it? Then you should ask, right? The assumption is, Jack, you'd like that? Okay, you're on.
Yes, please.
So, who is it? Oh, yes, please. Good. So, generally in Dharma, when people are quiet, we assume they know everything and they're fine. Like that.
I don't know anything, but I'm fine.
That's good. Thank you, Craig. Yeah.
I don't understand either, but I don't want to look like a wimp. So.
Yeah.
I'm not even here, so even better.
Not
I'm
even
not even here.
But I second the motion for the English version of the tenets that was just mentioned. That would be interesting to read.
Okay. So I'll see what I can do for a little bit more supplementary material. The traditional way is, of course, people struggle over this material. And we're not struggling as much because we're not having to memorize it, right? Imagine if you had to memorize this and then present it in front of people and then be questioned on it. That would be difficult. So we have it easy even when we're reading difficult texts. But I still applaud you. So we have a few people that are just kind of looking in, so to speak, which is fine. I would approach tenets in the sense of what do you really believe about your practice. Meditating, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that training, doing that practice. But what do you think you're actually doing? What's, what is actually going on? So we could define awakening as waking up to things as they are. So how are things? In Dharma, we try to elucidate not only how things are when they're all screwed up, but we also try to talk about the path, but we do try to talk about the result. Thank goodness many teachers were willing to talk, about their experience of the result, and weren't just cagey, right? So where do we think we're going, and what is our present belief? What is our present situation? Sometimes people think in Dharma, belief is a dirty word. No, we should ask, well, what do you believe about your experience right now? How would you formulate it? So we can say, my present consciousness, this is my experience, this is what I believe to be true. We can't just hide out until we get enlightened and then we're going to chime in and say, this is the way it is. No, we have to come forth with, this is the way I see it right now. So if you want to get lamas to laugh, like endear yourself to a teacher, then you should just say, it really appears that I'm substantially existing from my side and you're substantially existing from your side. It does appear that way, doesn't it? Let's be honest, right? It does appear. So, then we can say, is how things really appear actually how they really are, right? So we do attempt to answer that question. We just can't stay in, things aren't as they appear. Sometimes I'm fond of saying, things are not what they are, nor are they otherwise. Something kind of new agey like that. But actually, the traditional Dharma, which we're doing, we're asked to make statements and defend them. We can't hide behind we can't hide behind things. We can say, in the moment, I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm not sure, but then teachers, particularly in debate, well, what are you sure of? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we could at least say, well, I'm pretty sure it appears that I'm here, and you're there. And then you can start from that, right? So in traditional Indian, Tibetan, Himalayan Buddhism, we're not allowed to take an agnostic stance. That's a big thing now. It's like people go, well, we can never know. Who knows? No one knows. No, we are not allowed to take an agnostic stance in Dharma. What do you think? Can you take an agnostic stance and get away with it? Let's have a final check-in or short debate on that. What do you think?
What would be the point of studying Buddhism if you're going to take an agnostic stance and you don't intend to change that?
Yeah, I don't know. It could be a safe stance, like, I don't know, no one knows. I just want to be a good person, like that. Could be. I don't know what the point would be, but is an agnostic stance at all defensible?
Can you define what an agnostic stance would be? It would be one without the theology of Buddhism?
Well, agnostic stance would be, we can never really know what reality is. We can never know any ultimate truth. I mean, kind of a nihilistic agnosticism would be, we don't know anything, I mean, it sounds like the wonderful existentialist kind of Dadaist approach, like, it's all a lie, like that. But usually agnostic is just kind of, we really can't know, of course, whether there's God or not, but also we don't really know anything. It's impossible to know the thing as such, to use a German philosophy thing. You'll never know reality. We're just, we make everything up and we never really know what's going on.
I think I might be able to defend that on a conventional level, but not on an ultimate level.
Okay, give it a try. Let's hear the defense.
Yeah, well, I think there's plenty that is very, very difficult to know about in the conventional world. Like even, let's just say the example of, we know so little about our deep sea creatures and what happens on the deep sea floor. And maybe that's just the limitation of human ability. So maybe that's where, so I can defend an agnostic position conventionally just because we have limitations as humans to what we can know. But ultimately, I can't defend an agnostic position because I've come to realize the ultimate truth that nothing exists except in dependence on everything else.
All right, thank you. You're coming in very clear tonight. Where are you?
Okay, good. I'm just on my phone in the house.
That's good.
Yeah.
Connor has a rebuttal.
I can't hear him very well. Can you have him come closer, please? I got to hear this.
I'll hold it over here.
By saying that we can't know anything, you're automatically saying that we have a point of inquiry. By saying that there's a we, that there's an I, and that there's nothing to know. So you have a starting point of inquiry. And by that inquiry, then you can start to know things.
So that's defending agnostic?
No, that's denying it.
Oh, okay.
So you can inquire into what is there or what isn't there. But you already have places to start.
How's the microphone working, Greg?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm holding it in my hand. We have
I see something with a lot of lights on it. It's very
It feels
pretty.
like should do, this is an increasing gathering, like thing
If
like
that's
this.
the ship
Usually,
to get on to take me away from here, I'm getting on. Please let me get
I
on.
know. Like, off we go. So, we need to bring to a close. I'd like to do at least 3 versions of 7-line prayer for Guru Rinpoche. Lots of times people think of Guru Rinpoche as just kind of, he's in Tibet and everything's flowing, but he was a great debater, right? So he was, I'm brain dead at the night, but there was a monastery that was in danger of losing the debate to, maybe the Shaivites, who are our greatest, competitors, right? And they invited Guru Rinpoche to come, and he was a master of debate. So, when people sometimes they're thinking of Guru Rinpoche, they're thinking of just him, just kind of magically giving teachings. But of course, he had to do a lot of work and had to help establish Samye Monastery, along with Santarakshita and King Trisong Detsen, right? Okay. So please join me. We'll do some 7-line prayer, Dujum Rinpoche Tersar style, Lama Jinpa style too. Yogi Num Jan Sam Emagesa Dampola Yatsun Jogi No Drugne Emajune She Sudra Koru Kandro Manduko Keiki Jesu Daruki Jenji Lochi Sexu So Guru Kama Siddhi Urnan Yogi Num Jan Sam Emage Sadam Yatsun Chogi No Drugne Emajune She Sudra Kodu Kandra Manduko Keiki Jesu Datuku Jinji Lokshe Sexu So Guru Kama Siddhi Organ Yogi Num Sam Amagesa Dampola Yatsen Chogi No Emajune Shesu Koru Kandra Manduko Keiki Jesu Nanduku Genji Lokshu Setsu Guru Kama Siddhi. Very good. So I'm going off to the copper-colored mountain tonight. And I hope you are too. So Guru Rinpoche's Pure Land, but please return in the morning, all right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mama.
Yeah.
Lama.
Yeah, people saying
Thank you,
goodbye.
Lama.
Yeah. Omaha. Yeah.
Lama La,
Yes.
did you hear news from Sarah J. Monastery in the past few weeks about occasion of a Geshe dying and remaining in a state of Tanduk?
Yes, yes.